It's the Jake and Ben Show. 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 Oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a spooky episode of the Jake and Ben Show. It is Halloween today, and hopefully it's Halloween when you're listening to this. We got some Halloween goodies for you. I'm Jake, and I'm here with Ben as always.
Oh.
And yeah, I'm excited for this episode. Actually, we took a week or so break. It seems not intentionally. It just kind of worked out.
We were planning to do last week. I got sick.
Yeah, I assumed something was up when you didn't answer my text, so I was like, okay, we'll leave it. And
Bad time
at the El Royale.
We're going to be talking about that.
We'll talk about that later.
But you know what? This kind of worked out. So, last week we were going to talk about Halloween, but guess what? We didn't. Today's a perfect day to talk about it. Halloween 2018. We're going to talk about it on Halloween. I have a question for you before we go into it.
Okay.
Not just the movie, just Halloween in general. Were you ever into it?
As a kid, yeah, but like this year and last year, it feels like another day to me. It's just like, it's kind of an excuse to like watch a horror movie. It's kind of all I see it as now. But as a kid, dressing up and trick-or-treating was the jam. Was my jam? Was the shit? Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
The jam.
Well, you know what? I always hated it. I hated getting dressed up. I hated the going out part. I just wasn't a fan of it. I used to do it because my friends did it, but as a kid, I always hated it. So I'm not a big fan of Halloween. For me, it was always that time, horror movies come on, I'll watch some, and there you go.
Yeah.
We know we're going to talk about this one. So Halloween 2018, it's the sequel to the original Halloween from John Carpenter. So directed by David Gordon Green. He wrote the movie along with, who's that guy? I like the guy and I forget his name. What's his name?
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Yeah,
Hell
this
yeah.
guy. Fan of that guy.
Yeah.
So we got Jamie Lee Curtis coming back. And this movie, it opened up, I'm going to tell you the number first. It opened up to 76 million domestically. Now, you hear that number. Venom, it would open up to like 80 something, and it became the highest opening for October, which was previously held by Gravity. I think that was around 40 million, 45. And this comes in at 76, so that is huge. And with that alone, that opening is pretty much laid the ground for this to be the highest grossing Halloween movie in the franchise, just with that opening alone. And right now it's sitting at 174 million. It made, I'll get the accurate number for the weekend, what it made last weekend. And then it came in at 31 million, took a 58.8% drop, which I say it's pretty good.
Yep.
And the budget was only 10 million.
Woo!
Before we talk about the quality of the movie,
okay,
here are the numbers.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
The numbers are definitely solid. A 58% drop is about normal for this kind of film opening at that kind of price. Yeah, I think that's probably where I expected, maybe a little higher, but it's that time of the year. It's a perfect time to release it. The trailers have been amazing, and people love their horror movies, and it is a Blumhouse film, right? I definitely think it is.
Blumhouse, Universal.
Yeah. They're always like turning crazy profits with making movies for $1 to $10 million and whatnot.
Small budget,
and they make like this is Blumhouse's formula. This is what to expect with their movies, and it's solid, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah, it's very good. Like, it could stop right there, and it's made its money back, and it's gonna keep growing though. It's not stopping there.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the movie.
Okay.
I'd seen it. I'll tell you a story. So, I was getting my tickets for Halloween. This was like 3 weeks before it opened, and I seen Landmark, which is the theater closest to me, was playing the OG Halloween for the 40th anniversary. They were playing it on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and I seen it's also playing today. And I wanted to go to another theater to see Halloween because it was being played on a bigger screen in the AVX. So I looked at the time. It was 7:30 in the AVX, and 5 the OG at Landmark, the one closest to me. So OG is only around an hour and a half. So I had time. So I go see that to get, refreshed, because it was a couple of years since I seen the original. So go see that. It's the first time seeing that on a big screen. And it's a good film. It's a good film. Then I have a half an hour break between this one. Go see this one. I was excited. I'm not a big horror person, but I like my slashers. I'll say that. I like seeing people die. In movies, that is. So, see this movie. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And for me, I love this movie. I think it is fucking awesome. Now, with that being said, I'm not the biggest horror person, and I'm not, some fanatic for the Halloween franchise. I only like the first, like the original. The rest, I don't really care about. This one I do. And there's, Danny McBride, one of the co-writers of this movie. This is a funny movie, but it's not like a comedy. There's funny moments within this horror movie, which is something I thought was, it was a nice addition to it. It kind of had shades of Get Out, which that was a horror movie, but there's some funny moments. And for funny moments, and I know it's a horror movie, you shouldn't talk about the funny moments, but something that stands out for me, without spoilers. There's this kid in this movie, and this is like in the first quarter, and he has a babysitter. That's all I'll say if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, it's the funniest part of the movie. Hands down.
Yeah.
It's one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, it stands out as one of the best. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she's awesome in this. If one of my complaints is I wish we seen more of her and more of the elements of what she went through. But I thought this film's awesome. And I have a feeling you're going to say otherwise based on your initial text.
Interesting. Okay.
After you've seen it.
Let's talk about that text for a second. I sent that. I didn't know how you were going to interpret it, because I said Halloween, it's a movie or something like that. And sometimes I go like, this is a movie. Like, it's a movie. And sometimes I'm like, it's a movie. And in Halloween's case, it was definitely the latter. I was so underwhelmed with this movie. It was one of my most anticipated of the year. And, I went in with some lowered expectations. I managed it well, and I watched some reviews of some big Halloween fans who, they didn't like it too much. So I was like, okay, maybe the hype out of TIFF and stuff was just that. It was just some hype. Like, it wasn't grounded in any reality. So, film festival reactions are always a little more than afterwards. So I just kind of went in thinking that. And even then, I was just underwhelmed. I just don't know what the point of this movie was. I don't want to spoil anything. And we're not going to spoil anything. But the way it ends, I just kind of asked myself, like, what was the point? There's some very odd choices in that they don't really focus on Jamie Lee Curtis's character all that much. We kind of follow like her family and this like really cliche horror movie storyline with like the young kids and they're partying and that kind of thing. And it was just like, and it felt like just another slasher movie. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just underwhelming. I just expected more. So I don't know. I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely on the different side of that, where this one, I loved it. I think it's awesome. And a lot of horror movies do have the cliche of you got these kids, there's parties, and most of the time, like, I'll look at the original Halloween, and the way the kids are handled in there are, and not just the kids, like the teenagers, are kind of goofy, I would say. And in here, maybe it's just because, I'm not that old, so I can, relate to what's going on here. Maybe that's why I find it more believable. But I found the characters more endearing. Like, let's say the babysitter that I was referencing. I liked that character, as with, I forget the names of the original. The other two, I don't really care for those characters. So when, spoilers for the first one, ultimately what happens to the two other ones, it's, yeah, go Michael Myers. I don't really care.
Interesting.
With this, I find it, like, to me, this was the Force Awakens of the Halloween franchise. It didn't go out of its way to do, and I love the Force Awakens, and it was definitely a mold of the original trilogy, most notably A New Hope. With that, JJ still presented some new stuff in there, more so in the Force Awakens than this Halloween, but to me, this was Halloween as a franchise. I'm not a hardcore fan, but like, would you consider yourself a hardcore fan of this franchise?
No.
Or just like a big fan in general?
No. I'm not a big fan at all. Halloween isn't really my franchise of choice.
Okay, so how many of the Halloweens before this did you like, aside from the original?
I've only seen the original and the 2 Rob Zombie films.
Okay, so you have Halloween 2 that picks up after the first one. That one, I mean, okay, you could say. But then you got 3, Season of the Witch, that doesn't have Michael Myers at all. I don't really remember.
That's interesting to me. I want to see that one.
Yeah.
I hear so many weird things about that. I really want to see that one.
Honestly, I don't remember anything about it other than no Michael Myers. Maybe I'll go back and watch it today.
I might watch him tonight, actually. I might watch Halloween 1, 2, and Season of the Witch tonight. We'll see.
And then there's Halloween 4, which, if I'm getting my timelines right, Halloween 4, you write off Jamie Lee Curtis. She dies in a car crash.
Oh.
And she has a kid or some relative, this girl, who has this connection to Michael Myers. And then he's like, oh, there's another one out there. So he's got to go find this girl. And they have this connection. They touch hands, and all of a sudden they're connected. Goes into Halloween 5, and it's like, goes into like a fantasy realm where they're just connected. And anytime he kills people, she can, she feels it. And I don't know what comes after Halloween 5. Is it Halloween H2O?
Oh,
H2O is like this Halloween where it retcons everything after
I might have seen
everything
that
they forget
a long
about.
time ago when I was young.
So H2O, you have Jamie Lee Curtis coming back. You forget about the car crash of her dying. She has a family, and now she's like a teacher or something. And you kind of have some of the elements in here of her, PTSD of the massacre, you can say. And that movie has an awesome ending if it weren't for Halloween Resurrection, I believe. Because the way that one ends, I believe it's H2O, where Laurie cuts his head off. Like, just takes it right off. Which is a good ending, I would say. And then you have Resurrection. I believe it was Resurrection that retcons that and says, oh no, Michael Myers really, he cut some guy's vocal cords, and it was a cop, he couldn't talk, and he just put the mask on, and that was really who she killed. And I think I'm getting my timelines mixed up, because there's another movie where they introduce... Well, let me follow Resurrection. Then they kill off Laurie. Michael pushes her off a building or something like that within the first half an hour or so, and then you go on. I'd rather not talk about that one. And I think there's a movie I'm missing within here that there was now a boy who kind of had the same connection that this other this girl
had. You've seen all
these,
right? You've seen all of them?
I've seen these. I did a binge way long ago. I think it was on AMC when they had all of them. And there was this boy. I think in this one it's the boy. But anyways, there's a jumbled... It's like the one with Paul Rudd. I don't know which one that is. But then they go to explain how Michael Myers escaped from the first Halloween. And it was really... I forget. It was Dr. somebody. And it was just it was a no thank you. Which, I mean, there was cool elements in there, I guess, of how Michael Myers escaped. And there was a whole, it was just no thank you. Then you go on to the Rob Zombie ones.
Yes, I've seen those ones.
Okay.
Not terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think they're terrible.
I would say this. Take away the Halloween brand of it. I guess maybe what I really dislike. I haven't seen the second one. I've only seen the first. What I dislike the most about it is that I don't need to know Michael Myers, his background. I know enough, I know the little I need to know. I don't need to know his relationship with his mom, his dad. I already know about Judith. And in that movie, they spend like 40 minutes on a backstory that you don't need. You can cut out the 40 minutes and we're okay. It's like an hour and 50 minutes. It's too long, too much going on. And it's like, I'm a fan of Rob Zombie. I like his, some of his music. I like him as a personality. And it was too, his Halloween was just too metal and too rocker.
Ooh, I see what you're saying. That's Rob Zombie though for you. That's what he does.
That's him, but I don't think that works for Halloween.
Yeah, personally. I get what you're saying for sure. I don't love those movies. I just don't think they're terrible. But
So yeah, so why I say that? So we're now at Halloween 2018. This is like I've heard people say this. This is definitely a Halloween movie that has seen all the other Halloween movies.
Yeah.
To me, that's where some things work, and why I say it's like the Force Awakens of the Halloween franchise. To me, it's definitely relies heavy on the first one and repeats a lot of the elements with putting in some new stuff, with also seeing the other ones and putting some stuff that worked in the other ones in there. Now, I mean, I would like to talk spoilers, but I'll keep it on for now. Within that, I would say the first half of this movie is almost a replica of the first one with different elements to it. When we get to the second half, there are some familiar beats to other movies, and the way this one ends, I guess you could say that's kind of like Halloween 2, but in a different way. I wasn't sure how I was gonna like Judy Greer in this and the way they present her character. It ultimately works for me when we get to the end, because when the end happens, there's something within there that I'm like, okay, if you spent so much time building up what your upbringing was like, that if you are saying how, like, if you truly feel what you're saying right now, then why did we spend all that time showing what your upbringing was like? And ultimately, there's a nice little something in there that I think works really well. I think that third act for me was amazing, and I mean, it seems to you it wasn't, and it was nice. I was also in a crowd that was really engaged in this film, so when the end happens, everybody's going crazy. Now, what I would like, there's definitely going to be a sequel to this. I don't see how there's not. It made a lot of money. I think the character of Laurie, she's awesome. Jamie Lee Curtis is awesome. That I'm kind of like, I would want to see more of her, but at the same time, I feel like that's such a perfect ending for her character that
you don't want to see her again.
I kind of don't want to see her again.
That's fair.
And to keep the comparison of The Force Awakens, I think if you're going to do another Halloween, it should be kind of like The Last Jedi to the Halloween of the franchise. Is that you gave us a Halloween movie that feels familiar, and there's a lot of the same beats from the first one, that now you got us back for the most part. I feel like, I don't know what the consensus is, but it's made a lot of money. I feel like you got most of us, back on board for Halloween, that you can try to do something new, but let's stay to the heart of, the franchise. Let's not, what I hate is like, look, Friday the 13th. I haven't seen all the movies, but I know of them. I don't think any of them are particularly good, but there's fun to be had with them. Where it goes is like, I don't know why it was horror movies in the 90s wanted to go with some fantasy element. And like, I think it's part 7 of Friday the 13th, like this, there's this character that has, the Force, and it's like, this just, what are we doing here? Which Halloween does that in some of these later, installments. We could do something new with staying familiar, but I feel like that's such a perfect closing for the character of Laurie that it would be nice to end it there, but I highly doubt that will be the case.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and the comparison to Star Wars is unique, and I think it's fair because, it's a franchise that's kind of making like a soft reboot, but also a sequel kind of thing, which The Force Awakens was. I just think like with The Force Awakens, it was refreshing in a way in that the characters were all unique, and I cared about them in one way or another, or at least I cared about their stories or their journey. But like with Halloween, it does that same thing, but it's also like, I think Halloween, just so much of it is flat. It's like, I don't know, it feels so uninspired. Your Star Wars comparison is on the money in a way. It's just like, I'm kind of sad talking about my unenthusiastic view on this new movie. I don't know. It's just I'm so bummed out. If you listen to old podcasts, like you and I were like going through the roof, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And you know what? I'm so glad I didn't watch that one trailer, because I've seen it
that trailer
after the fact.
Yeah,
And
it gives
like,
a lot.
It does give away a lot. Yeah, I kind of want to see it again. I want to see this Halloween movie again, because like I feel like I'm being a little too negative, and like now with my
I want to see it
expectations
again
so low.
because I loved it so much. And with a slasher, like, I'm very easy, I'll be honest. I'm easy to get with a slasher.
Okay.
What I need is I know when I go to a Halloween movie, there's going to be Michael Myers. What he's going to do, he's going to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how he does it, how he, gets out of his, situation, and how do people around him react. It's very easy. That's why I find so interesting that the franchise has been such a dud. And I mean, personal opinion, I think there's only one good movie and a few okay. This one, dare I say, I like it. Entertainment value, I like it more than the first one. And
That's fair.
I mean, a lot.
The first one's kind of a product of its time. Like,
yeah,
watching it now, it's a little
very much
slow,
is a product
but
of its time. It had a $300,000 budget.
Yeah.
It, I commend what they did with what they had, which is why it's, it is a great movie.
Yeah.
But with this, because of our time that we're in, you're able to do some more things. And I love how brutal Michael Myers is in this movie. It's just, I love how brutal he is. And it also keeps with some of the stuff of seeing certain deaths off screen, or maybe there's, a shot of somebody walking by, and if you just look to the right corner, you see something going on. And
I got a question.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of, some of the stuff he does in this movie, and it gets me excited.
Okay, just one other point before I ask you a question. In Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, that's the most brutal I've ever seen Michael Myers, if I'm remembering them correctly. Like that shit can get...
He's very violent, but
Violent, yeah.
He's very violent. It is visceral, but I'm not sure as visceral as like this. They show you a lot of what he does as with there. You see it, but there's certain cuts to when you don't see specific things he does. If maybe I'm coming off the wrong way, but from what I remember.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm going to take your word for it. But here's my question for you, Ben. There's one.
Yes.
There's something that happens in the middle of this movie. Maybe it's closer to the end. That has been polarizing, and for the most part, negative. I've heard mostly negative things about it.
I've heard somebody reference this. I don't know what they're talking about.
What?
So
Really?
Yes. I'm curious of what it is.
I'm going to try and explain it without spoiling it, okay?
Okay.
It involves a doctor.
Okay. All right, then I think I know where you're going. Is it ultimately what the doctor does?
Yeah, with
Okay.
yeah.
To me, that's the weakest point of the film.
Okay.
To me, I don't see how it could be polarizing to people. I mean, again, we do live in an outrage culture, so I mean, I'm not surprised by anything. For what this doctor does, you don't have Loomis in this film, and this doctor fills the void, but in an opposite way. One in which I could care less about. I don't need that at all. To me, he's just a device. He's there just to act as the device of how things go down.
To me, that's a lot of characters, which is interesting you mentioned that. There's a lot of characters that seem like they're only there to push the plot forward.
Yeah,
the
like
one
a certain
thing he
boyfriend.
does, exactly. Or even the two characters, the podcasters at the beginning, which is so bizarre.
Yeah.
They're only there, to serve like one purpose, really. And I don't know.
To me, the podcasters work the best than the boyfriend or the doctor, as with...
Okay, interesting.
I love what they do with that opening, with how they come in and they want to try to talk to Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you see in the trailer they pull out the mask and
Yeah.
some cool things happen within there, and then we get the opening logo.
Yeah, I like that. And I really like the opening logo. The opening credits is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I really like it.
I just want to add one thing to the whole doctor twist thing.
Okay.
I thought it was dumb. My friend and I just kind of looked at each other when it happened, like, what the fuck is going on? But on the other hand, it's admirable that they're trying something unique. Like, I feel like if they gave that more time to breathe and develop,
I'll
from
be honest,
the start, it could have been cool.
Yeah, I think it didn't bother me as much because I seen that coming from a mile away from how he. I mean, I can see how this is interpreted as a spoiler. It's really not, but how Michael Myers ultimately escapes, I could see. To me, it was planted there, and maybe it wasn't developed as much as it could be, but I seen it coming from a mile away.
Yeah, that's fair. See, I didn't, but they had potential to make it. I don't want to spoil it. Like, I'm trying hard not to spoil. And if we could spoil it, I could make my point to you a lot better. But there was potential to do something really clever and really smart with it, and they just kind of do it and then throw it away, and it's just kind of dumb and disappointing, like this movie as a whole. But yeah, it's admirable.
It reminded me of the stupid. I mean, I'd see if I say this and that's a spoiler, but like, it reminds me of the stupid version of certain characters in DC. That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. See, I don't even know.
Okay. See, then that's good. That's not spoiler.
Yeah.
There's certain characters within, the world of DC Comics that that this Doctor reminds me of, but in a more like in a stupid way. And I'm not saying the characters within DC are stupid. It works there, but it's, this character of the Doctor is the stupid that person. If I say that person, it spoils it all. So I'll leave that open for people to figure out.
Yeah.
I would like to talk more, but let's move on because it's been like 20 minutes of us talking about this. We want to talk about a few things.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to, normally we talk about new stuff, and I'll mention a few, but we're going to lead on to, after that, some, today's Halloween. You are the horror guy, so I'm going to ask you, what are some of your favorite horror movies and ones you like to pull out on Halloween? I'll let you think about that. Now, before we get to that, I want to ask you, something we've talked a lot about is this Disney streaming service. We know we got The Mandalorian coming to that. There's a live-action Lady and the Tramp. We have a Loki series, a Scarlet Witch series, and Marvel said, I think the report said that Marvel's developing a bunch of these shows, and we were talking about ones we'd like to see. So yesterday, I'm on the interwebs, and I see this report that Marvel and Disney are developing this show. When I first read it, it was a little bit late, so I didn't read it properly. It said there's going to be a Falcon and Winter Soldier limited series, and I'm like, I don't need it separate. And then I read it again. No, there's going to be a limited series. They're developing a limited series of these two together.
Ooh.
When I read that, I was like, hey,
that's unique. That's cool.
I like that.
That's a nice pairing.
Because I think the two of them, they're very good supporting characters. I'm sure they could. I mean, if there's a good story, they can lead. But I like them together, especially what they did in Civil War.
Civil War, yeah.
I like their connection.
Yeah.
So to me, it's an interesting show. Honestly, that gets me more excited than Loki and Scarlet Witch, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, I like the characters that they're choosing for this series on the streaming service. A little more outside of the box, or just like smaller characters, which is nice. I think that this is a good place for them. And to pair these two, it sounds like a solid pair. That's something I'd be excited for sure.
Yes. Now I'm going to mention just a couple more things. So, and this is more in the world of gaming. I just thought this number was phenomenal. So Red Dead Redemption 2, it launched, I believe, Thursday or Friday. And, there's a lot of talk of how, where the sales going to be. Can it be, one of the highest grossing of 2018? Spider-Man PS4 came out, that made around 190 million. It was I think it was the fastest selling Sony exclusive or PlayStation exclusive. And this comes out. Red Dead Redemption 2 opened to 725 million just with two consoles. Holy shit. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Are you interested in this game at all?
I played the first Red Dead way back when. I thought it was
Well,
pretty
let me
cool,
ask you this
but-
question.
Okay.
Did you play Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead
No,
Redemption?
no. Oh, Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really care too much. I'm not a huge gamer. I'll play I like PvP and like some first person, third person shooters, but I'm not like super into gaming. Except I do remember having fun with my friends playing Red Dead, like at my friend's house. But yeah, what I'm curious about is how much does it cost to make a game like this?
That is a good question. Let me see if the internet has an answer.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'd imagine they spent years making this game. And before this game came out, I was talking to somebody. I was like, this game is going to be good when there's articles talking about the detail they put in on horse balls. How can a game be bad if they're putting in detail on horse balls?
How much does it cost to animate horse balls? That's the
That is a
question.
good question. How much does that? So let's see here. Okay, so let me just read this here. So there's something here saying that like Grand Theft Auto 5 was around 265 million.
Oh, wow.
Talking about how, So I would assume this might be around 300 million.
Yeah,
I would have to
damn.
guess.
I didn't think it was that much, but yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't see a specific number on here of what it costs, but I found numbers for GTA 5.
Which is similar enough. It's the
So-
same company, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Rockstar.
Yeah, Rockstar. Yeah, okay. So,
Yeah. Which, hey, Rockstar is definitely a rockstar of video games.
Wow, look at that.
They develop their own games and they publish their own games, and they make a killing when they do it.
Yeah. Damn.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I'm going to mention something.
Okay.
This is more for me than it is for you. I'm going to mention it quick. You don't have to say many thoughts. You can say like one word answer. So Ryan Johnson, he's got this film coming out, Knives Out. It's, a murder mystery, and they started shooting the other day. And I want to read you this cast because it's got buffed up since the last time I told you. So we
okay.
know Daniel Craig's there. Lakeith Stanfield, is it, from Get Out and Atlanta. He's in there. Chris Evans is there. Michael Shannon is there.
Wait, who is
and my
that
man
from
Don
Get Out?
Johnson.
What guy is that? Get out.
He wasn't the main. He was the other guy that was
Like the
what do you say,
TSA?
possessed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was the one where he took the picture and he's
Yes,
like
yes,
freaking
yes,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So he's there. My man Don Johnson, and one of my favorite actresses, Ana de Armas. She was in Blade Runner 2049. And guess who else?
Who was she in Blade Runner? Sorry.
She was Joy.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Ooh, look at that.
She's in the cast. Yeah.
Speaking
So
of
that
that-
started filming yesterday. It's a killer cast.
That is a solid cast. We talked about it, a few episodes ago or something, and we were gushing about the cast a little bit then, and now it's just even bigger.
Yeah, buffed up. Like Murder on the Orient Express, I would say that calls for comparison because that had a big cast.
Yeah,
And
but I don't
Murder
like talking
Mystery.
about that movie.
Yeah. Well, the thing with that cast, there were a lot of, I would say, former A-listers in there. That may not be A-listers now. So with this, all of them might not be A-listers, but killer actors and actresses.
Yeah, and for the most part, have been in some successes lately. Like
Yeah.
Get Out, making a bunch of money and being a quality film. People are gonna recognize
Yes.
him.
Yeah,
and,
at the
Blade
Oscars.
Runner. Yeah, so no, it sounds solid. Solid.
I'll mention one more thing. You mentioned the Oscars, and it made me think of something, and then we can move on to some of your favorite horror movies.
Let's do it.
So there was a lot of talk, like, hey, there's going to be this most popular film cut. What the hell is that? And they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's not do that. And there's been a lot of talk behind Black Panther. Will it get nominated? So there was a report coming out that Disney is like fully backing Black Panther. They want to go for picture. They want to go for director, actor. They want to go for a lot of things. And within that report also said they're only going to be going for one category for Infinity War, which would be effects. Makes sense, but I guess let me ask you this. Do you think it's deserving of any of that? And if not, do you think it's deserving of anything at all? I
Black
have my
Panther?
opinions, but yeah, Black Panther.
I don't think it's deserving of any of that. I watched it again recently, And, you know, I was a big fan of it when it first came out. I watched it again recently after the hype's died down. A lot of things I just, like, there were some things when I saw it that I wasn't down for, but then watching it again, I just was like, I mean, it's fine, but it's just, like, not as good as I remember. And just, yeah, I don't know if it's the old age getting to me after, you know, those long 6 months or however long ago I watched it. But, I don't know. I would be really upset if this won or was nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it's deserving. And I kind of hate to say it now. I hate to be that guy, but a lot of it feels like it's praise for what it's doing as for society and for the culture. Which, like, I totally get that, and I'm down for that. But I don't think it's a reason to give it Best Picture. And you, like I said, I hate to be that guy. There's those people that will fucking whine and scream this shit all the time, and I'm not that. I'm not gonna yell at you if you do enjoy it, because I don't think everyone enjoys this movie just for what it does, for the culture and for society. So I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with this movie now. I still think there's solid parts about it. I don't think it deserves anything at the Oscars.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'll say with this. Looking back on the film, do I like it? I still do like it. Do I like it as much? I would say yeah, maybe a little less. With that, I wouldn't put it in my top 5 of MCU. It's probably on the latter half of a top 10 in the MCU for me. Ryan Coogler, I think he did a killer job. Is it his best film? I don't think so. I think that belongs to Creed. My personal thoughts. Michael B. Jordan, was he awesome in the movie? He was awesome. Was it the best I've seen him? No. Was Chadwick Boseman great in the movie? Yes. Was he helped out a lot by other people? I would say so. I don't think that people are, oh yeah, we're gonna help you. Like, he did his part, but it was definitely elevated by other performances around him. Would I be mad? Well, do I think it deserves any of those categories? No. Would I be mad? No. I understand what it meant to people, you know, just what it represented, which is why I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be, you know, stomping, you know, my foot. But I could understand why some people might be like, hey, this is the Oscars, you know, it's a good film. I appreciate what it, you know, stood for, but it's not, you know, it's a good film. It is a good film. Is it a great one? I would say that's up for debate. I think it has a really good first act, really good second, starts to fall apart in the third. What I find interesting about where they're going for, to me, I think this Black Panther should be a lock on, like, hair and makeup. It should definitely be in the conversation for like a production design, for score.
Yeah.
To me, yeah, I think Ludwig something, I forget his last name. He did the score for Creed, and that he also did the score for Venom. I think he did a solid job. I think he made an iconic theme. I think of that all the time. But I mean, I also look at, like, Alan Silvestri. I think he did a killer job with Infinity War. I think that's got to be one of the better scores of the MCU. I also read that along with Infinity War, they're going to put Black Panther in the race for effects, which understandable. But to me, I don't think like, looking back on it, people had complaints about it, but it didn't stand out to me as much as it does now. You can definitely tell, you know, some effects are, you know, not up to par when you get to the third act, and there's a falling fight. But do I think it's deserving of the ones they're going for? No, but I definitely think it should be a lock for, like, hair and makeup, costume design. Those,
I get that for sure.
That was brilliant.
Yeah,
all right,
I can see that.
Let's get out of here on that.
I just want to add, just like that, you know, Infinity War is probably the best Marvel movie ever made, and I don't think it's going to be nominated for a Best Picture or Best Director. I don't think it's going to.
No, hell no.
But that would be the movie I'd prefer to see over Black Panther. But yeah,
personally, I'll tell you why I would, and hang with me here. I'll be quick about it. To make a good movie is hard enough. To make a great movie is, you know, they say it's, you know, damn near impossible, which you do see great movies every year.
Yeah.
And where I go with, like, I don't think any of these will or should. But if I'm going to make the argument, which one should? From a filmmaking standpoint, I think there was a bigger accomplishment. And not to say Ryan Coogler couldn't do it, he probably could. But I think for a filmmaking standpoint, there was a bigger accomplishment within Infinity War than Black Panther. Not to say Black Panther is a, paint by the numbers, movie, but it definitely it's very traditional to most movies. As with Infinity War, there's things traditional in it, but what they had to do, I couldn't even imagine. If I'm just planning out that Wakanda battle and I'm filming that, I'm like, okay, so wait, where are, these creatures going to be? Where's Thanos? Where's this person going to be? Just talking about eyeliner in itself, or just the basic concepts behind filmmaking, to me, that's got to be a headache, which is why I think it was a bigger accomplishment than Black Panther. I can understand why Black Panther was a bigger accomplishment for what it meant to people. But from a filmmaking standpoint, I think Infinity War did more. That's my personal belief. And I could, just watching the behind the scenes on the Blu-ray, I can only imagine the headache that Anthony and Joe Russo had. Yet they seem still charged up to do it. Winter Soldier, going to Civil War, then they do Infinity War, now they're doing Avengers 4. Which, speaking of that, Kevin Feige said that there'll be a trailer coming out before the end of the year, very similar to Infinity War, so that coming up. But I do want to move on, unless you have any final thoughts.
No, I think I've said all I need to say.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And this is mostly all you. For me, the next part I can jump in on.
Okay.
But, today's Halloween, it's people like, you got the kids going out for candy, and you got people like yourself that are going to watch some horror movies.
Right.
I want you to think about this while you're answering. So,
okay.
The second part of what I'm going to ask you is, what are your favorite movies to watch on Halloween? First part, I'm going to ask you, what are your let's say top 5, or maybe even top 10 horror movies?
Wow. Oh, God. Okay. Top 10, and top 10 would have to be something that I'd have to think a little harder about. I can give you top 3, because I have I have a really solid top 3 that I thought of, and they're so tightly knit together that the top 5, those other 2 would be a little ways away, that I may as well just stick to giving you this top 3. All right, so I'm gonna hit you with my top 3 horror movies, and I want you to let me know if you've seen them or what you think of them.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
And then we'll go into some movies that maybe I watch on Halloween, or maybe it's the same list. We'll have to see.
Hey.
All right.
We'll see.
So,
tease.
my favorite horror movies. I'm gonna give you my least favorite of the 3. If I'm gonna start it from bottom up. They're so tightly knit, but number 3 is the classic. It's Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
This, although it is a product of its time, it's doing things for the first time, like the original Halloween that we talked about. It still holds up, and it's still a masterclass in directing horror. I guess I can spoil it.
I think that would be fine. I think there's spoilers. There was a time when spoilers, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
And now we got to a time where people care, and it's definitely moved up to people being more cautious about it. But if we're past a decade, that's on you.
Yeah. Okay. This is from 1960, and this is one of the if the only issue I have is I didn't watch this in 1960. I didn't watch it until 2013 or whatever year I saw this for the first time. So there's people getting into filmmaking and stuff that haven't seen these movies. So I kind of get it. There's young people coming up who want to make movies who still have to get caught up on Jaws and Psycho and The Godfather and all that shit. And you don't want to spoil it for them. So I respect that. But I'm going to spoil it. Everyone knows the shower scene in this movie, and
yes,
beyond how it's shot, it as a story, killing off a character we followed for this long into the movie, and then just completely turning the film on its head about what it's about, it still holds up as a solid midpoint twist. That is some next level filmmaking, especially for the 60s. And Hitchcock, implying violence and nudity when at a time when you couldn't show that stuff, having to do something different and original and unique. It's kind of why he's praised as one of the best directors ever. So Psycho's my number 3. Have you seen Psycho? Do you love Psycho? Do you hate Psycho?
I have seen Psycho. I haven't seen it recently. I had watched that movie when I was way too young.
Okay.
Far too young to watch that movie.
Yeah.
And because of that, the shower scene is what sticks out most to me.
Yes.
That fucked me up as a kid. 'Cause, like I could never like anytime I wash my hair, my eyes are open. My eyes don't ever close. And even though I know no one's there, I just always remember that because I seen
Damn.
that movie way too young and
Wow.
yeah, that fucked with me.
Wow.
I vaguely remember other points of the film and stuff which, you mentioned. It's definitely something that I should probably check out again. I do remember it being a very good film. One that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yes. All right. That's fair. That's an interesting story about keeping your eyes closed as well. All right. So number 2, I'm gonna put this in number 2 if I'm gonna order these. Would have to be The Shining by Stanley Kubrick.
I was wondering where that was gonna fall.
Yes. Huge Stanley Kubrick fan, and The Shining I believe is one of his best movies, and it's also one of the best horror movies ever made. What I love about The Shining is kind of what I love about Kubrick's other works. Besides just like the way he moves the camera, which is just wholly unique, or at least for the time. I mean, people have emulated it, but and just like this really ambiguous story kind of wrapped up in this just traditional haunted house or haunted hotel in this case lens. Like, it's just like there's so much going on beyond the surface level of this house, this hotel may be haunted or whatever. Like, I know this movie gets some weird flack for its performances, be it Shelley Duvall or Jack Nicholson, which is very odd to me because I think they're clearly missing
Jack
the
gets
point.
flack for his performance?
Yeah, you haven't heard that before?
I am very out of the loop on what people think of movies. For the
Okay.
longest time, it was always what I thought of movies and people within my circle.
Okay.
It wasn't until maybe like 2015 that I started seeing more of the, social thoughts, and then we kind of moved into a certain age that we are in. That began maybe like 2016, 2017, and I veered off on that, so I don't really know what people think. To me,
Okay.
when I think of Jack Nicholson in that movie, I think of, a great performance.
Yes. No, I love it for sure. And I know like there's some things written about Kubrick about how he's a bad director because of how his actors perform. But I think these people are missing the point. And The Shining, I believe, was panned on its original release, or maybe just like viewed negatively. Maybe not panned, but there's stuff going on within Jack Nicholson's character and within his performance that tell you so much about what the film's actually about that, I get if someone misses this because, a lot of it's about cabin fever, right? And, these characters are going insane as, they're in isolation for so long. But, also like Jack Nicholson is acting like this throughout the entire film. Even at the beginning, he seems so phony and out of it. And I think, you watch the ending of this movie, the final shot, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? And of course, you can write all your think pieces, and it leaves a lot of room for that kind of thing, that, debating and your think pieces and your video essays. And I love that about Kubrick's work and about The Shining. And it's never pretentious. It always feels wholly intentional. Like, all these details and the I can't fucking speak. I'm getting way too excited. All this attention to detail is very much important to what the film is about. And it's nice having a film where you have to think about it and dissect it, but it doesn't feel like it's smarter than you, or it's looking down on you, or it's more clever than you. It's natural in the way it tells its story. And I love that about The Shining. I think it's creepy too. Of course it's creepy. It's got a great score. I think it's great. You?
Much like Psycho, it's a movie I see in young. Things stand out to me, which most notably would be, Jack's scene. I don't even think I have to describe it. I think everybody knows that. And I want to ask you a question, and I think I know the answer.
Okay.
Kubrick.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Kubrick movie? I'm pretty sure I know the answer. I just want confirmation.
My favorite movie of his is also my favorite movie of all time. It's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
Was that what you were thinking?
Yeah. I was thinking you were gonna say that, and
Yes, yeah.
I have a favorite of his that I'm not sure if like I'm the only one who thinks this. I'm sure there are other people that do, but like I know there's a lot of hardcore Kubrick fans that would take maybe like 5 or 3 other movies over this. Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, that's fair.
That movie, the first half of that movie is like one of my favorite movies of all time. It has one of my favorite characters of all time, this Sergeant Hartman. It's
Yeah.
to me, that character is some of the greatest unintentional comedy. The first time I had seen that movie,
No, I think it's intentional.
I just intentional. Oh, see, to me, it came across as unintentional because, I mean, you ask people, is this really what it's like? And like, yeah. So to me, that's why I kind of took it as like this is supposed to be serious. But you be a bigger Kubrick fan, maybe you can speak on that better. To me, that the casting of that man, which I think he wasn't even supposed to be the character, and it was like
Yeah.
when they were on.
He's
set,
a
you
real
see him,
drill
I was like, hey, this
sergeant.
guy. Yeah.
Yes.
So to like the movie as a whole, it's my favorite Kubrick, but like the first half to me
That's
is one of
fair.
my favorite movies. The second half still really great. Just I liked what was going on better in the first half.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and that's like a lot of people have that opinion where the first half is it feels like two different movies, really.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
you're right in that I would put Clockwork Orange above it. I'd put Eyes Wide Shut above it. I'd put The Shining above it. I'd put 2001 above it. I'd put Doctor Strangelove above it. But
I got to be honest, Doctor Strangelove. It's a movie I like. I can't get into as much as like other people have told me I should. Not to say I think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good movie. I just when I watched it, there was it was a teacher that I'm not sure if I should say the full name, but from a college that you used to go
JC?
to, former college.
JC?
Yeah, JC.
Okay.
And so he showed us that film. I knew of it. I knew of things of it, but he was really sucking this movie's, dick and was going hard on like how this movie is one of the best things you'll see. So I kind of went in like, oh, okay, this guy's telling me it should be this. And maybe I went in with like, my guard up because of that, but I think it's a good movie, but I would say of Kubrick films I've seen, it would probably be my least favorite. Not to say it's a bad movie, it is a good one, and I can understand what it represented in that time, and I can appreciate it for that. But it, a lot of the comedy in that movie fell flat as to where, to make reference to Full Metal Jacket, comedy in there worked perfectly for me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't take any of that away from you. Respect your opinion for sure. I think they're both war films too, and they're just told in completely different ways.
Yeah. Like I like what it represents and I like what it does. I just for Kubrick films, I think he's done much better.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't want to take away because this is the moment of the hour.
Here it is.
Number one favorite horror film of all time.
And just to preface this, The Shining is right there. Like these things are like they're hugging. Like they're close. They're close. Maybe some days The Shining will be I'd put above this, but this movie it's one of my favorite. It might be a top 10 favorite movies of all time. So is The Shining. I got like before I go in this. I was like thinking about like top 10 movies of all time. Like I like making lists and stuff, and I was thinking about this, and I had like 3 Kubrick movies on it, and I'm like, should I limit myself to one Kubrick movie for my top 10, or is it allowed? I don't know.
That is a very good question. That's one I've debated with myself of like a Ford Coppola. Do I have because like The Godfather, Godfather 2, to me like any day, those could be like my number 2. For me, my favorite movie of all time is Empire Strikes Back. Below
That's
that,
fair.
It swings between Godfather and Godfather 2. But then even with that, like I'm sure I haven't done a top 10 list because I just feel like there's so many movies that like, how can I do that? Because that would always change for me. But then there's been times I thought, well, like, do I put Apocalypse Now in here? Like, would that be okay? Because then that would be 3, Coppola films.
So you got like almost pretty much the exact same struggle as I do, where it feels like instead of making my 10 favorite movies of all time, I'm making like my 10 favorite Kubrick movies, but it's like it's the exact same thing, that kind of thing. All right, that's just a little side topic. I'm glad someone else has that struggle. All right, the best horror movie ever made. Here it is. Get ready. I hope you've seen it because I would love to hear your opinion on it. It's a slasher, so I'm sure you've seen it, or I'm sure you dig it. It is Scream.
Okay.
by Wes Craven, my man. Um, Scream is like the best satire you've ever had. Um, I just this is a horror movie that I do like to watch on Halloween. This would probably be my go-to Halloween movie, and I was gonna watch it again this year. Then we started talking about Halloween, and now I'm super curious about seeing all those older ones that I haven't seen, like Season of the Witch and Halloween 2 and whatnot. So I think I may watch those this year. But to
The
me,
thing with those Halloween movies, not to cut you off,
yeah, go ahead.
quickly say is that like to me they're very bad movies, but like within that you can get some, entertainment value out of them for how bad they are.
That's fair. That's kind of what I was expecting. Except I've heard some like people that I really respect their opinion kind of unironically like Season of the Witch. So I'm super curious to see that one. Because it's so different. But yeah, anyways, back to Scream. Scream works so well, and I think like a lot of it weighs on how it understands the horror genre. So much of it is parodying it and satirizing it, and being a horror fan, like you got to respect that kind of thing. So I love that about it. It's brilliant in that way, and it also just has like a cast of characters that are just unique, and you like them, and you want to hear their stories and what's going on with them. It does the thing, it's the cliche where like it keeps you guessing kind of thing. But like honestly, it's true. It is legitimately suspenseful and funny and super well acted. It's got one of, if not the best final acts ever made. The reveal where you find out who the killer is, who Ghostface is incredible. And I don't know the actor's name. He plays Shaggy in Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
I watched
I know who you're
Scooby-Doo
talking-
as
I
a
can get the
kid,
name.
and then I saw Scream before that, and I've always, even watching Scream, I always associate him as Shaggy no matter what.
Matthew Lillard.
Is that it?
Yes. The man Matthew Lillard.
Yes, he is incredible. And you know what? Speaking of Scream as a franchise too, I actually do enjoy all of them. I think Scream 3 is definitely the weakest, but like there's some fun stuff to have in there. And Scream 4 was the only one I saw in theaters. And Scream 4 is great. Scream 2 is great too. So it's one of the rare horror franchises, especially like from the late 90s, I believe, into the 2000s, that all of them are actually good movies. Like we were talking about Friday the 13th earlier, and we're talking about Halloween, where like even Friday the 13th, like none of them are good, or Halloween, only the original seems to be the good one. Scream is just like a consistent franchise, and I think part of its success is it's super self-aware, being it's a horror movie and being that it's parodying horror movies. That it's just, God, it's so good. I love this movie, and maybe I'll watch that again tonight too. I don't know. I'm just gonna watch a bunch of movies and just
All right. Listen.
Okay.
You mentioned Matthew Lillard. Let's be honest. The 1 and 2 greatest horror movies of all time is Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2.
Yes, they
What is
are
that one
actually
called?
quite spooky.
Monsters Unleashed.
Is that what it's called?
That is Scooby-Doo 2. Monsters Unleashed. Those movies. I have a very vague memory of
Yes.
those movies. I remember them.
James
being
Gunn
terrible,
wrote them,
but
I
so
believe.
bad that I liked them. Yeah, James Gunn. Man, and you had Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I know a guy who loves those movies. Is obsessed with them. Watches them all the time.
Okay.
You know what? Oh yeah, look at that time that we've been going. So
Yeah. We have
very
been.
quickly, because you got to get out of here, and there's a few things I want to talk about. So very quickly, like let's say, you know what? Give us your number 1, or if you feel like you can do it quickly, your top 3 favorite horror movies to watch on Halloween.
Okay. I'm just gonna. I Scream is up there. Halloween. I think Halloween's the most obvious one. I think I watched that last year. The original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. It's in the title. Come on. What else? Okay, this one. Okay. This is kind of a weird one, but I feel like the past Halloweens, maybe a couple Halloweens, I watched this either with my sister or stepsister or something. I had the DVDs at my house for some reason, but they weren't mine. And it's Halloween Town High. You know, the children. I guess it's the children's movie. There's a bunch of them.
Disney?
Yeah, it's a Disney one. It's a Disney one.
Yeah.
I think I watched them back when I was younger. I think I watched them with my sister some Halloweens. Yeah. So there's that, but I that's just me reaching for a third one. I'm pretty sure I'm usually watching Scream or Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, I feel like I normally don't go to watch horror. Like, to me, Halloween's just another day. It's never a thing for me.
Okay. Yeah, like you were saying that
But
earlier.
if, like, if there's ones I gravitate to, it's Halloween. I'll even watch the shitty ones if they're on TV.
Yeah. I find like the shitty horror movies that are playing on TV, they're always like a nice thing on Halloween too. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Maybe not shitty, but like those like older slash movies. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Prom Night. I just like AMC does a marathon or something of these movies, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
That's always a nice little Halloween thing. Yeah.
We know what you mentioned AMC, so I'm gonna quickly mention something on AMC.
Look at that transition. Boom.
Yeah. So AMC, they have a couple shows that you may know of. One of which being The Walking Dead. So last time we did this, I started watching The Walking Dead, and I was on like, I don't know, maybe season 3, and I'm on season 9 now. I'm 1 episode in, so I have like 3 other ones to watch. And it was revealed a few days ago that Rick's last episode will be this upcoming Sunday, and figured you might find that interesting. You mentioned you might check that out to see how he leaves the show.
Yes.
I am so curious to give, I guess, my brief review on The Walking Dead. I think season 1 and 2 are great. I really like season 3. The rest, for the most part, I think they're okay. The worst I've seen The Walking Dead, in my opinion, was the first half of season 4. I didn't really care for it. To me, it was a rehash of season 3 that we could have just wrapped it up then, but it was a plot device to get things moving. And then we get to season 5. I think some there's some fun stuff going on there. And 6 is like it's okay. And to me, I think the unpopular opinion is, again, I don't know what most people think. I've heard that people don't like season 7 and 8. I'm going to be on the opposite. I quite enjoy season 7 and 8.
Really?
Especially 7.
Damn, that's when I stopped watching it.
Yeah. I know you mentioned people had issues with, certain somebody going out. To me,
Oh, yeah. Let's spoil it, because, it's...
Yes. Okay, well, I'm going to mention my biggest problem with The Walking Dead is my 2, let's say, is the 16 episodes. You got to cut that down. Even if you go to 14, we got to go down. It's too long.
Yes.
And because of that, I don't like how they tell their stories, and I'll reference season 6. There's a point in which you have Glenn and some other guy off, and they're swarmed by a herd, and it looks like there's no way he's getting out of that. And 4 episodes later, they come back to that, and you're like, I forgot that was even going on. Oh, yeah. And that there's so many one-off episodes that feel like they don't tie in, but they do, but it's stretched out way too long. That it's like, I'm forgetting what happened or what's going on here. What's this plot line? And they start to do this in season 7 and 8 a bit. They start to do it, but they really need to do it more. It's like the intercutting of like storylines. If you're gonna have separate storylines, let's have them going with like, you can cut things down episodes wise and make things more interesting. If you just have I'm not sure if that's the proper way to say it, but like the intercutting of each story, like
kind of like what Game of Thrones does.
Exactly.
Instead of like having one episode about one character or story, and then the next episode about another character. That's what you mean, right?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I agree, for sure.
And to me, that's its biggest flaw, the show. Because I think character-wise, they've got really good characters for the most part. I mentioned that. I can already feel that deaths are going to just be a thing to do. Game of Thrones, you mentioned that. When there's a lot of deaths in Game of Thrones, but they mean a lot. And I guess in a sense, some of these deaths, for story-wise, they mean stuff, but... let me ask you, well, I'll go to spoilers for the way season 6 ends. I love Negan. To me, he would be my top 2, like minus Rick. Favorite character is John Bernthal, who he was with Shane.
Yeah.
Second would be Negan.
Okay.
I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is awesome. And when he shows up, like, the thing with this guy Negan, as much as these saviors are assholes, at the same point, he's got a point. Rick was barking up the wrong tree. A lot of that stuff happened because Rick was a dick. And and that's why I like Negan, because, like, I get it. I understand. And where they go with him in season 8 now, I really enjoy season 7. I really am into the first half of season 8, and then comes a death that I think is the most useless death out of The Walking Dead to me. The second one, my favorite death, and I guess spoilers for
spoil
season 5.
Spoil it all.
Is so I think the one that's probably, fans probably felt, fucked up by is the Glenn death.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I liked what it meant, and that one was a death that I like. This makes sense. It doesn't feel like a useless death, and you feel the weight behind it. To me, to flashback a couple seasons, is Beth's death. It's something that really didn't need to happen. It was one of, like, if you're taking away this, like, storyline, it's a very good death in the way it plays out. Yet 2 episodes later, you have Tyrese, I think his name. He dies, which takes away from her death, which is, like, come on, you have such a good death, but at the same time useless. It really, if that death didn't happen, it doesn't affect the story at all. In no way.
Yeah. A lot of it's just for shock.
Yes, exactly. And after so many deaths, one's coming, or at least 3 a season, that is not a shock anymore. So you get Glenn and Abraham. And the thing, what I love about Glenn's death is, Negan saying, listen, I got to take one of you out, and which one is it going to be? So he takes out Abraham, and he gives him a warning, like, because someone shouts at him, I forget who it is, and he's like, that shit's not going to fly here. So if, you guys, you can watch, you can cry. I mean, you can cry and be, hysterical, but don't you lash out. And you get Daryl lashes out, and he's like, well, I gave you the warning, so now you got to watch this guy die. And it's such a...
Yeah.
The
I
makeup
like that
department.
Yes. And the whole Maggie, I'll find you thing.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when Rick's like, I'm going to kill you. The only way this ends is I'm going to kill you. And then he picks him up, gets him in that RV. And the way it's that first episode,
I like that
is one
episode.
Of the best episodes.
I agree.
The season does slow down.
Yes.
The first episode I ever watched of The Walking Dead was episode 2 of season 7. Why I thought that was boring, you go on to a one-off episode, and if you don't know anything, you're like, okay, why am I watching this? I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
So the thing I hoped going into this was that I'm invested in the characters, that I can get through it. That was there, but knowing the characters, I could, like, get over the the hump of a one episode. And something that threw me off, I could have sworn I seen Ezekiel die in season 7, which I was so wrong, because The Walking Dead, I had it recording for season 7, but I didn't really care for episode 2 of season 7, so I kind of came back to it here and there, but I didn't pay attention. And I thought I saw Ezekiel die. I could have sworn I seen him on the ground and zombies eating him. And so I'm like, okay, I know he's... no, that was season 8 I'm talking about. So I'm jumping ahead here. And that wasn't the case. I seen the tiger go. I believe that was season 8. So I'm already getting mixed up, because I got sick last week and binged it all. And I knew of the death in season 7, because that was an episode I had watched. I had watched like 3 episodes of season 7. That was one of them. But even to that, I like how Rick is like... I just like that even Carl goes there to, kill him, and he's nice to the kid. He doesn't do anything to him. And I really like him as a character. To go on to what really took me out of season 8, the most useless death out of The Walking Dead was... Do you know this one?
No, is it Carl?
It's Carl. He dies in such a way that, like, the scenes work if you just, like, extract them from but it doesn't benefit the story at all, because ultimately you would think, okay, Negan and Carl had this bond that, kept growing, and he dies and you get a nice little moment, but then Negan hardens up after that. You think he'd soften up. It's the complete opposite. And he goes even more berserk and wants to kill everybody, as with, think maybe now he's, he's opened up. He's, like, ripe for the picking now because he's opened up. And it's the complete opposite, really, of how it happens. And, like, it just, you really didn't need it. And thinking now into season 9 with Rick leaving, what gets me curious, because I believe there's a new showrunner for season 9. if I'm the new showrunner for season 9, I would be pissed at whoever did season 8, because I'm thinking, with Rick gone, who is better than having Carl take the lead on there? Because I'm sure people could say Daryl or Maggie, and I would say, yeah, okay for Maggie, but then she's leaving at the end of season 9. Why I would say no to Daryl is he's not a leader. Yes, as with Carl, he was definitely, going that route. And why he would have been such a perfect, replacement is that, he was working there. He just, at the point in which he died, would have been the perfect, because in the beginning of The Walking Dead, it was really, Carl and what was her name, Lori. That was like the purpose of why Rick's going on.
Yeah.
That it would have been, if Rick's going out, let's have Carl step in. But you can't do that now. So which makes me curious of how it's going to happen, because I don't think Rick is a character that should die. I think he should go off. But if he goes off, how does Michonne stay? How does Judith stay? And how does it happen? And the thing I found interesting with how they end season 8 is that, I don't know if this is the case because I've only watched one episode, is they end it with Meg, like kind of planting maybe Maggie being the antagonist. Kind of, they hint at that. That's kind of. Now, I'm not a big Walking Dead fan. Maybe somebody's laughing right now, but she's pissed that Rick didn't kill Negan. She's pissed. She wants him dead. And how that's going to play out is interesting, because from the first episode, I could see how Maggie becomes a Negan. I could see that, just the way things have went. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to go that route. I doubt it. With Rick leaving, I assume she will take up the mantle for the season, but with her gone, what do you do? So I'm curious.
I am just like so out of The Walking Dead. I haven't seen the past couple seasons. I'm trying to keep up with like this thing. Like the idea of Maggie as an antagonist sounds unique, though. I do like the sound of that. I hope they turn the show around to the point where people are raving about it again, and I actually want to watch it. That'd be nice. In a perfect world.
Yeah, I've heard good things so far about season 9.
Okay.
I've only seen the first episode, so I can't.
Okay. Say how many episodes in are they?
4.
4. Okay.
4, I believe, and the 5th one is when Rick leaves. And what I found, my last thoughts on this, what I found funny is before season 9 premiered, I'm not sure if this was a report that came out from an AMC executive or if this was just a report on, name any website, but it was that AMC had plans for 10 more years of or 10 more seasons of The Walking Dead, more spin-offs and movies and video games, and then the ratings went down. And with that, I mean, they still have higher ratings than most shows, but not to what Walking Dead standards are. So I'm interested to see how that goes down, what the what the game plan is from there.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest mistake, for all the problems the show has had, I think the biggest mistake was killing off Carl.
Interesting. See, you want to know? I want to go back a little bit, and let's be quick here, because I think I just received a text.
So you got to get out of
here. He's just down the street, so let's actually get out of here. After I say that Glenn, his death would have been so much better. And, I still think it was powerful, but it would have been so much more impactful if they didn't fake kill him earlier in the season. Or earlier the previous season. That pissed me off. Because when that happened, when he dies under the dumpster, quote unquote dies, I was like, oh shit, like that was really moving and that was really powerful. And I was like, fuck. And then he comes back and it's like, wait, they just fucked with me. Like they was all just to mess with me. And then they kill again. It's like, well, you've already done this. I've already been sad about him dying. It's like the emotional weight's just like cut right in half or more so, just because I've already been through it. But yeah, I still love that episode. It's still one of my favorite episodes. The one where
he bites it.
He bites it for good.
I mean, last thing of what I'm curious about, I know John Bernthal's coming back for an episode. One would assume it's a flashback, but what I thought more curious, it hasn't been announced that the actress who played Laurie's coming back for anything, and it wasn't announced that Carl's coming back for anything. So if there's a flashback, why would it just be John Bernthal? I'm curious about that.
Yes, I want to see this episode with him or whatever's going on with him.
I would be totally fine if for a season 10 they're like, hey, listen, we know we've made some mistakes. We're gonna retcon some stuff, and John Bernthal is definitely a guy I would bring back. But
wow, if they could find a way to do that, that'd be cool. But
if they could, that would it would be nice. But
I don't know how you'd pull that off.
But you know what? Yeah, Walking Dead, which we had a few other things we're gonna talk about
later. What were we gonna talk about?
We're going to talk about First Man and Bad Times at El Royale.
Yes. And mid-90s. I wanted to talk about mid-90s.
Oh, yes. Mid-90s.
Wow. Favorite movie of the year. Oh, my God. You got to see it.
Wow. Favorite. Are you telling me it's better than Gotti?
Just barely better than Gotti.
Barely better than Gotti. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you see it?
I saw it in Ancaster. So it was like a 45, 50-minute drive, something like that.
Yeah.
But worth it.
Yeah. I guess one thing I should leave off on is next week I'm going to be very busy. This will be my last thing I say. For school, we have shoots coming up. Something I find curious. My group isn't shooting until a couple weeks, but the teacher wants it. Like, I'm an editor on a project, and we were supposed to. The way it was presented, we're supposed to be DMT our own project. Would make sense. Apparently, that's not the case. Apparently, editors aren't even supposed to show up for their shoots, and they're supposed to DMT other, crew, other, projects. To me, it doesn't make sense. It would be more convenient. You give us a hard drive. Let's do our own thing. We go from there.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because of that, I'm gonna be really busy next week. So
okay, so maybe no episode next week.
There might not be one next week. Okay. So maybe we could squeeze one in before the end of the week. We'll see.
Okay, we'll see when we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
So,
I think that
is it.
That's all for us.
Then we've talked about a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get out of here real quick. We're just gonna cap this because I gotta go. I gotta meet with someone about a music video.
Hey.
All right. This has been Jake and Ben. Thank you for listening. Rate us, follow us, do all that jazz. You know how she goes. All right. See you later.
See ya.